get shut down. And, that's a whole nother question, but the greed that's been involved, and, even during Jesus when he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar, obviously that whole political system was based upon a lot of greed too. So that's never changed.
Right, and I mean, you see in the Bible, you see things that say, honor, whether give to Caesar what Caesar's, probably, whether it's taxes or whatever, but especially honor the king. The question is, in our government, who's the king? Again, I'd say more thinking. Right, yeah.
And we pay taxes on marijuana.
Right, and I'm just saying you should probably consider who is the king, and if it is the Constitution, we should fight. We should fight to have our legislators honor the Constitution and honor the morals and the good of the people. Which, if it is the best drug for certain illnesses, it ought to be legal for those illnesses, in my opinion. And I would be like, well, I'm motivated right now to fight for medical use with heavy restriction. But
wanted to say, the Bible also talks about, we're free to partake in any foods. We're not restricted. But it also says that, you don't want to make your brother fall. Well, my dad's a teetotaler, and if I had a glass of wine in front of him, it would kill him. So I just don't do it. But it doesn't keep me from having a glass of wine. If I lit up a joint in front of my dad, he'd probably take a gun out and shoot me. But, it just I think
it's murder worse than smoking.
Yeah.
That's theology.
I think we need, if we are going to use marijuana recreationally or medically, if it is an offense to your brother and it makes him stumble, we need to at least exercise some good judgment as to when we will use it and when we won't use it.
For legalization purposes, that's what it says. You have to do it in a private area. You cannot be out in public. It has to be a personal way for you to say, as if I guess you can take pills and wherever, but it's a quick ingestion of the pill. Obviously, if you're smoking or however you're ingesting it, it might take a little bit more time. But still, that privacy thing. If I'm not going to push what I do onto someone else or make someone else aware of it for my personal reasons, because there's no reason for me to do it.
I'm not going to give myself a shotgun so I'm at Walmart.
I don't nurse. We'll go here and here. I just sound like Oprah.
I guess I'm just saying, it really sounds like, as far as I can tell, it seems like there seems to be some evidence that marijuana does have a purpose. Otherwise, if we couldn't explain why it was here, that would open up a whole world of problems. If we didn't really understand why this thing that has these properties is here, then that would arouse some suspicion.
I think it rocks our worldview. I had a hard time with understanding why the mosquitoes.
So I guess
For food.
So I guess the problem I think our culture is facing is really, I think we kind of touched on the abuse that comes with increasing the beating. I think, is there a way for us to really increase the what are some ways that we can increase the legality of it while decreasing? I guess my personal view is recreationally, it's no different from getting drunk, taking it, I guess, out of the social aspect where it's no longer being used to sanctify the Lord.
So you're no longer welcome to drink.
So I guess I think those are the problems that I think are going to be faced with anything or with this particular incident. I guess. What are some ways that we can get around that? Are we going to spend more money try to enforce the enforcement of these regulations? If we're going to make the laws more strict for having a dime bag on it, how is that going to work?
No, what they're actually thinking of doing right now is in the House. Senate Bill 10109 is running through legislation doesn't pass this. The meeting that I went to last Wednesday, that was in the Senate. The Senate passed the primary football. It's in the House now. It's all about regulation. One of the main things they want to do is
going to this medicinal dispensaries, you see a lot of young bucks there. Young bucks, 18 to 25-year-old range. What are you there for? Walking around, you don't have, the symptomology of somebody that's a medicinal marijuana patient. Because honestly, folks, you go out there, you can get a license like that.
There's advertisements.
Oh, no.
They'll find something wrong with you.
That's what's making it illegitimately, and that's when it's going to collapse the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. You got smoke.
And this guy, perfect example of what's going on out there. So I'm going around today to visit this dispensary, and there's one out there that's on 3019 North Shields. Well, I live off of LaPorte on Shields, so I got on my bike to work. Right there 3 miles. You know what was out there? A rundown, falling apart, open to the commercial bar. 3 miles of riding, I called up the shop. You get me home, this is so I left them a call and said, hey, I come out here, there's nothing out here. I'm just, normal, and I want to drop off and fly. No response back. So there's a lot of abuse coming out.
Well, I spent 14 hours with the criminal investigation division of the Rockland County Sheriff, and that is certainly an issue. Obviously, there's more of it than they can handle. I don't know that it's relevant to whether or not there's medicinal use or whether or not the Bible forbids people. And I saw some interesting things today. I saw a guy who had a medical marijuana card for falling off a roof and hurting his knee 6 years ago. So I don't get it. But regardless, is there benefit to it?
Me just getting back to the Bible, we were talking about the legal aspects of it, and the law of the land was a term that was used. Well, even Christ, was breaking the law of the land when he healed a man's hand on the Sabbath. That was the law of the land. Today he was told he was wrong for doing that. The question is, well, is it wrong to do good? And I'm not trying to say that healing is equated with smoking marijuana. I'm just saying it's marijuana something bad, since it isn't God created it.
We have to be, I think, somewhat careful when we compare ourselves to Jesus, because he was God, right? So he knew exactly the right thing to do at all times. We don't, so it falls apart at that point.
Well, kind of just listening to us talking, I feel like a lot of this controversy has come about because of the views of what this was and what has happened with this plant years before. Kind of getting back to where we talked about the main reason why the plant was banned in the beginning, and just kind of an interesting thought came in my mind, and if we can step outside of our society now, how would we view this if we didn't have a problem with...
If there was no taboo.
Yeah, if smoking pot was a horrible thing and you got in trouble for it, if it were something that was just okay, would this be that big of an issue? Would it be just like alcohol, where we, drink but we don't get drunk, and we don't, abuse certain things? Just kind of a thought that came to my mind, if it weren't for our society, how would this conversation, or how would it be different to
Yeah, I kind of presented that to my wife, who